Hello 5-9 trainers and welcome back to another Pokemon video on the channel. My name is Liv and today we'll be covering a Pokemon Unite guide for how to use Zeraora. Before we get started though, of course, as always, I want to give a shout out to JJ-kun for the extremely informative information that he's linked to all of us. So that will be linked down below for that spreadsheet as long as any other resources we've used in the video. As always, if you're enjoying the content on the channel, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell when you do. That way then you guys can keep up with all the 5-9 gaming uploads on the channel. Without further ado and delays, let's get right into the guide. Today we'll be going over Zeraora. Now, Zeraora is widely considered one of the best Pokemon in the game in general, and it also just happens to be a speedster. It's really weird that it's classified as a speedster because of the fact that Zeraora actually has a higher offensive stat, but we'll get into that in a bit. Your job will be to focus on the jungle in the early game and then help out your teammates in whatever lane they need it most once you've gotten a level or two up on the enemy. Now, what is Zeraora and how do you guys end up using this Pokemon? Zeraora is considered an expert character, but don't let that fool you because Zeraora is actually a pretty easy Pokemon to use in my opinion. Let's start with quickly glossing over how it functions. Zeraora, as I mentioned, is a speedster, which basically means your job in the game will be to hit and run and try and just get off as much attacks as quickly as possible. Despite being a speedster, as I mentioned, Zeraora has a massive offensive stat, which in comparison to other fast units is pretty incredible. Not only this, but Zeraora has a lot of attacks such as Discharge that make it very easy to overwhelm the enemy. So that does help Zeraora offensively speaking very easily. Your job will basically be to break so that way another Pokemon in your team can score easier once you've cleared through the enemy very quickly. Not only that, but if you pair Zeraora with a wall, this makes it very easy to actually do this job. So your job will basically be to let the walls play defense while you go farm the jungle and then play offense in the late game. So don't let the early game fool you. If your opponent, let's say, is about to score on your first goal for 10-20 points, as long as you get over leveled very quickly, you'll be able to turn things around within minutes, if not seconds. Zeraora has Slash and Agility as the starting moves, with Agility being a strong dash attack, while Slash is just a really good offensive option. Agility's best use would be running away when your opponent overwhelms you potentially, whereas Slash is just a good way to break through your opponents because it does significantly more damage than your base attack would. I personally recommend starting off with Slash because it's a great way to help with farming the jungle really quickly, and once you kill the first Lillipup in the jungle anyway, you'll be able to get Agility within seconds. So in the off chance your opponent actually does try rushing your jungle in the very early game, you should still have Agility before they even manage to get over there. So I do recommend starting off with Slash in that regard. Once you kill the first Lillipup, the rest of your jungle becomes very easy because you could pair Slash with the next attack and you'll be able to break everything very effortlessly. At level 6, you'll be able to upgrade Agility to Volt Switch or Spark, with Volt Switch being a strong hit and run attack because you literally will just go forward and then immediately go backwards, whereas Spark, it's up to 3 short bursts if you choose to use them, and it's mostly used as a way to turn Agility into a strong melee attack. A lot of people from what I've seen have recommended the use of Volt Switch. However, I personally think if this is your first time using Zeraora, that I would recommend going with Spark actually, because it's very hard to actually do bad with Spark, because it really is, at the end of the day, more so just meant to be a dash forward, whereas Volt Switch, you really need to time your Volt Switch properly to make sure you're able to actually get back in time, and especially if you're trying to dash forward to catch up with your teammates, I find that Spark is just slightly more useful in that regard, but it gives Zeraora a strong melee attack because your actual melee attack, being Slash, will be replacing momentarily. I'll get into that in a second. I do personally find more use out of Spark from when I've used Zeraora at least. However, there really are no bad moves in Zeraora. It's not a Pokemon where you really need to pick a specific moveset for it to function. It'll just do really good. Speaking of, at level 8, we'll be replacing our melee attack with either Wild Charge or Discharge, with Wild Charge basically being a direct upgrade to Slash. If you decide not to go with Spark at your level 6 move, I do highly recommend at least considering Wild Charge, considering it at the very least will give you a melee attack that is very strong against the opponents as long as you can aim it properly. However, I will say that even with Wild Charge, there is still a directly better move, in my opinion, being Discharge. And regardless of if you value the melee attack of Spark or not, I do think that Discharge is the overall better option, even though I think that neither are bad options by any means. Discharge, I think the biggest reason to go for it is the fact that this will pair really well with your ultimate at level 10. And not only that, if you click Discharge with your ultimate, you'll be able to actually have both of them stack for damage. So I do find that personally very useful, especially when trying to farm the enemy because of Discharge's significant range. I do think this is personally the better option. However, again, both are strong options. It's just that with Spark already, you'll have a strong melee option. So going for the range with Discharge, I think is just more more useful in my opinion. You'll finally earn your ultimate attack being Plasma Gale, which is basically, as I mentioned, it's just a stronger discharge at level 10. As I already mentioned, you're able to actually stack this with discharge, which makes it very easy to actually kill your opponents even if they're in their spawns. Basically, what you do is you click discharge and then immediately after click Plasma Gale, even in their bases, the opponents will have a tough time staying alive because of the damage from both. This allows Zeraora to claim multiple KOs even from Pokemon that are pretty near full HP, especially if you pair it with, let's say, an X attack, which I find very useful in Zeraora personally, or any sort of attack boosting support. Personally, I would recommend for the full Moveset, Volt Switch and Discharge if you know what you're doing with Volt Switch. However, I think it is easier if you're just starting out to go with Spark over Discharge. However, I would personally, if I was to use Zeraora, go with Spark because I do just find it a bit easier to pull off. However, Volt Switch is probably the better option there. There really aren't any bad attacks in Zeraora, as I mentioned though, so just keep in mind that your job is really to overwhelm the opponent. So whatever you feel most comfortable using with Zeraora will truthfully just be the correct option there. Because Zeraora, at the end of the day, it's really just about what you're comfortable with. It's not like there's a bad option there. So if you can overwhelm the opponent with Wild Charge easier than Discharge, go for it. Because that's your job with Zeraora, just to overwhelm the opponent really quickly. For items, on the other hand, there are actually correct items to use in Zera. Unlike the moves, there are really specific ones you can actually upgrade your experience significantly with. For starters, let's get into our battle item, which will be the X attack in this case. And in my opinion, unless you're going with the jetpack, this is really the only proper item on Zera. This will basically just boost your attack, which helps significantly with jungling quicker, which will allow you to just support the team really easily. You don't really need the speed upgrade of X speed, and a jetpack, again, you'll move pretty quickly anyway, so it's not a huge deal if you do or don't have this, especially in the early game when you have agility. I personally find the jetpack just be pretty wasteful there, whereas with X attack, you're able to always just buff your attack, which is very, very useful when trying to kill the opponents quickly. For your held items, on the other hand, there are a few that you can go with, but I personally would recommend Float Stone, Scope Lens, and Muscle Band. For the Float Stone, it's basically just a given on any offensive Pokemon. If you're not using this, I would say that you're throwing. With the fact that Float Stone will boost not only your speed stat, but also your attack stat, this really just should be a no-brainer on Zeraora, especially with it being such a good offensive Pokemon. The next item you should probably consider would be the Scope Lens, considering the fact that it will not only boost your critical hit percentage, but it will also boost how much damage your critical hits do, which again, it's really invaluable on a Pokemon that's going to be offensively hitting as hard and as often as Zeraora will be doing. So this feels again like a no-brainer option on Zeraora personally, because if you're going to have a chance for critical hits, why not make it more likely and why not have them do more damage? Because it just feels like a free way to damage the opponents even easier. The final option on Zeraora will be the Muscle Band, which again, just boosts your attack stat as much as possible and also boosts the amount of damage that your basic attack will be doing as well. It feels like there's no real reason to lack a Muscle Band on here, considering it just makes it so you're doing more damage with your basic attack, which will be especially useful early on before you get things such as Spark and Discharge. I feel like this helps Zeraora a lot in the early game while you're still trying to get those attacks. In terms of the strengths and weaknesses of Zeraora, Zera is really as strong as it can get for an offensive unit. You're really only going to struggle with not having a lot of bulk, however this can be subsidized by just throwing a wall such as a Snorlax or an Eldegoss on the team, and also you can just heal it up by things such as Citrus Berries or again an Eldegoss, so this really isn't a huge concern of Zeraora's. In comparison to other junglers, one of the strengths that Zeraora has is how fast it is and how hard it hits, meaning you'll be able to complete the jungle on pretty much a speed run for any sort of Pokemon in the game, which means you'll be able to make your way down to whatever lane needs your help the most to help out your teammates easier. Speaking of Snorlax and Eldegoss, what I would recommend pairing most with Zeraora would be strong support and defensive characters. Snorlax is probably as good as it can get with partners, considering the fact that you can quite literally stop your opponents from moving forward because of your walls and also potential to put your enemies to sleep. This makes Snorlax the indisputed king of support when pairing with Zeraora. You can easily just spam discharges so much quicker that way. Not only this, but Snorlax also just has incredible defensive stats, making it a very easy goalkeeper at the top while you're waiting for Zeraora to jungle. Slowbro is still a very good option, and it's an option that everyone should be able to get very early on. So if someone on your team lacks a Snorlax, this should be an option at the very least that everyone should be able to use. If you don't want to go with a wall for your support, I do recommend Eldegoss, because Eldegoss at the very least is a healer. And not only this, but it can also give you shields on Zeraora as well, which means that you'll be able to run the opponents much easier offensively speaking. Another support option, if you potentially don't like using Eldegoss, would be Wigglytuff, because Wigglytuff is able to put the opponents to sleep, which makes it very easy to actually offensively kill, as well as clearing status in case you're playing against a Gengar, which could be very useful to be honest, because Gengar is one of the more used Pokemon in the current moment. Finally, another option that works really well would be a screen setter such as Low and Ninetales or Mr. Mime, because both of these options are just generally good support options, and they can provide nice utility to keep Pokemon away from Zeraora, which is great if you do end up low on HP.
And here we are with the gameplay portion of our Zeraora guide. So as you can see here, we have a team with Eldegoss and Slowbro. Now I'm not sure which lane they will both go. It seems like though that the Eldegoss is going to go bottom path, and the Slowbro, if I had to guess, will go top. The Slowbro is actually one of my friends, so I know for a fact he usually likes going top. So because we're Zera, we're gonna go off the central lane. We have the X attack, as you can see, with the Scope Lens, Float Stone, and the Muscle Band. We're gonna be going for the Spark and Discharge build because, as I said in my script that I had wrote out for at least that portion of it, while I do think the Volt Switch is a slightly better option, it's a very minuscule amount better. And I think that personally, you just have a lot easier of a time using Spark. So it's a lot more beginner friendly if you're trying to pick up Zera. It makes it a lot less of an expert character for difficulty. So I do personally recommend that one a bit more, even though Volt Switch is technically the better option for how you would play Zeraora. So yeah. So now from here, we're going to go into a match. So what I'm going to do is really quick, because we're off the team preview screen, I'm going to turn off my face cam, and good luck to the opposing team. But yeah, I'm hoping we pull a win. As I said, I'm going to jungle. There's really no other jungler, so the team's actually pretty mono support. So that should be very beneficial. We'll go with Slash, as I mentioned, and I'm going to really quick help Eldegoss out. And then we're going to go into the jungle, where I will X attack, and we can get our attack boost on the Lillipup. This should help us kill it a bit quicker, which will then in turn make it so we can get out of the jungle as quick as possible. And as I mentioned in the moveset portion as well, you do get agility literally after the first Lillipup, as long as no one steals your kill. So even if for some reason someone comes into the jungle with any option to kill you, you're pretty safe there, just going for Slash first still. And now I can just jungle around and kill everything else really quickly. As you can see there, we killed the Corefish. We're going to now go back down and kill the Bouffalant next, and then we'll go for the other Corefish. And then, assuming that our goals are doing okay, from there we'll probably just go for the middle Corefish, and if they are doing bad, we'll go up top and help the Slowpoke Alola Ninetales core. But I'm assuming that they'll probably be fine down there. Actually, Alola Ninetales is going down, so if anything, we'd help the Slowpoke Jigglypuff core, which, if anything, it's looking like we might end up doing. So I'll go get that Salac Berry really quick, and I'll just rush up there and help them. Because it looks like they're kind of struggling up here at the very least. So we're going to go take these out really quick. Okay, and it does not look like we're doing great over there, so we're going to run. And we're going to stay at base for a little bit. We'll just base camp real quick while the Slowbro weakens them a bit. We'll get to level 6, and then we can discharge them, which should make clearing those out a lot easier. So, as you can see, we took out the Apom. After this Corefish, we should be pretty good. I think the Slowbro is going to be scoring in a second. Yep, looks like the Slowbro scored, which is very nice. I'll go help the Slowbro take out the Slowpoke really quick, because that should definitely get us a level. And it's not looking good. I'm going to get a Citrus Berry, and then I'm going to dash out. There we go. Now that they're out of base, I'm going to try and pick off stuff at least. Okay, so now it should at least help a bit with the Slowbro taking them out. And not only that, but... oh, oops, I marked that I was going to bottom path. But that should definitely help a bit for Slowpoke at least. And not only that, but we got ourselves our level, which is nice. So from here, I'm going to go back up and I'm going to get help with Slowpoke, because it looks like a Jigglypuff's AFK, which kind of sucks. But they should be pretty much handled now. As you see, Spark is very, very nice, because we can just dash up on them. We pick them off pretty quickly because of the damage from Spark. And then now we have a little bit left over. So now we can just Spark dash over here. And then we can score another 30. And now the space is pretty much gone. So we're going to try and drag them out a little bit. I'll guide the CPU in a moment. I'm just going to dash on out. Well, I meant to aim that a bit better, so that's on me. Let's see, so press and hold. We're gonna have the CPU follow me. Because I really want to get to a Wigglytuff. That'll also help a lot, because even though I didn't necessarily specifically mention it, at least I don't believe I mentioned it, Wigglytuff is another pretty good support option here, because obviously it's good to put things to sleep, and also it's a great status healer. So it won't matter a ton here because there's no like Gengar or Snorlax, but it's still a good support option nonetheless. And it can obviously support me while I'm taking out the Rotom. As we can see, it put the Rotom to sleep, which just makes it easier to kill as well. So yeah, the Rotom should be gone before they even get back up here, which is very, very nice, I'm not gonna lie. We can now break that top goal as well, which will be very, very huge. So especially with Wigglytuff up here, putting them all to sleep, that'll help us get the score really quick. And yeah. Beautiful. So now the goal is broken thanks to Wigglytuff. And we can just dash on through really quick. And then we can score 31 here. Beautiful. The CPU Wigglytuff is actually doing better than the person that was playing it initially. Go figure. Well, we're going to go try and get our level 10 really quick because then we'll get our ultimate, and that will be very, very important when taking them out, especially at the second goal. Because by now they've at least gotten some okay levels. So we'll really want that ultimate now. Luckily though, between the Wigglytuff and the Slowbro, we're actually putting them to sleep really easily. And we're able to melt them, and now we have our ultimate. I almost thought I clicked it on accident. That would not have been good. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go help out at the bottom a little bit, because it seems like up top we're actually doing pretty good. Meanwhile, it looks like the bottom might be struggling a bit, so I'm just going to help them try and at least break that first goal before they get a Charizard down there, which will make that even more hell. Luckily, we have Eldegoss, Anilo, and Ninetales, so those are still both very good support options down here. Meanwhile, they're not exactly in the best of hands down here. So we're going to ultimate just to pick off the Ivysaur. It looks like they actually just barely dodged it though, so good on them at least for that. We should still be able to take them out pretty easily in their base though, because as you can see there, we're able to easily handle that, because that's why you jungle with Zera, because you can see that I'm level 11, meanwhile they have 2 level 8s down here. So we've now helped our team pretty near guarantee break that base, especially after we get the Dreadnought in a second. That'll only guarantee even more so. I'll go up and help the Slowbro in a moment. I just want to get the Dreadnought because that will ultimately be more important in my opinion, because that way then we can make sure that we're getting shields, which will help us really quick rush up at the top. And as you can see there as well, the other team disappeared off the map, which means that the Slowbro definitely helped them out with that. So we're going to be able to just run up here really quickly and then handle the Rotom with the Slowbro. And as you can see, again, it's still a nice dash. It's not exactly like how much, agility was doing, but it is still a nice dash nonetheless to have. So it's a nice compromise between damage and just dashing. So we're going to X-Attack really quick just to finish picking this off. As you can see, we've now also gotten Spark Plus, which will only help even more with the damage output. They have a Charizard now, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's not a huge deal. There's no way that Zard is actually good leveled. And we're going to get this Rotom to their base, which will help significantly. So we're going to try and get some damage here. We're probably going to die, actually, but it's fine, because we got a nice amount of damage off on their team, and we actually broke the base, which is pretty incredible. Also, it looks like they're pretty much dead, and our Slowbro at least should be able to get a little bit of damage off on them. As we can see, they almost... Actually, their Lucario did die to that, which is pretty good. So even if it was just one kill, I mean, it was 1v4 up there, and their Venusaur will probably die down there. So now at this point in the game, we really just need to play defense until Zapdos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the Slowbro handle that, and I'm going to go down here. Because that way then, the Slowbro can definitely wall them out up there, and I can help at least break this bottom base, which I'm more offensively capable of doing. Where Slowbro can definitely just sit on our base and then be fine. If Slowbro does look like it's going to die, then I'll take care of it from there. But for now, I think that my best efforts are in handling this Venusaur to finish off this goal. So we're going to do that really quickly. And as you can see, the Venusaur is now dead. So let's go score really quickly. So 23, we have another 8, and we're about to get into double points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to farm some points really quickly and then just get the double point scores. So we're going to leave the Slowbro for now because it's not a Pokemon I exactly want to 1v1 in their own base. Well, 1v2 because we have the Wigglytuff following us, but still, I don't really want to have that in my base. Oh, definitely not now. Certainly not now. Oh, okay. Okay, so we ended up dying, so it's very unfortunate. So we're not going to score on that base, but it's not a huge deal. We can easily just handle it with Zapdos. My goal now is to go for the Zapdos immediately, and then we're going to go try and handle that. We should have at least Discharge by then, maybe our Ultimate if we're lucky. But at the very bare minimum, we'll have our Discharge by then. So that'll be very helpful. So we're going to jump to the Zapdos really quickly. Wigglytuff will guarantee follow us, which is great because it's a really solid support option for us. And it doesn't actually look like they're up here, which is really nice. So we're just going to X-Attack this because that should, again, help us break it even easier. We're pretty much killing this as well. I'm going to Ultimate really quickly just to make sure that we ensure the kill before they get up here. And yeah, we have now killed the Zapdos, which is great. So I'm going to dash over to their center because, again, I just want to get the base really quick. I don't really need to focus on Venusaur because, again, we should be covered in that regard. There we go, scored 100. And now we have Discharge Plus, which should only, again, help more with our damage output. Oh, we died. Never mind. Okay, so I guess it's not going to help with that. But we have a huge elite, so it's fine. I'm pretty sure we just broke their bottom base, too. If not, the Slowbro will definitely be breaking it momentarily. But I'm pretty sure we did, because it looks like they're getting some decent movement speed up here. So Slowbro should be getting some nice points, which will be great. It just needs to keep a bit of defense, which it could definitely do in tandem with the Alola Ninetales. As you can see, the Alola Ninetales just perish right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to handle defense because they may very well end up killing us, and the respawn times are going to be annoying. So because of that, I think I'm just going to stay at the base and just make sure that they don't get here. So I'll stay in the middle, and if I see either of them approaching, like right now we see a bunch in the bottom lane, so I'll keep an eye on getting ready for the bottom lane, but I don't think it's important necessarily, because Slowbro's right there anyway, so they realistically won't get over here. What I'll do, just to show off, is I'm going to just get to level 15. Because it won't really matter. I'm not going to get any progress in 10 seconds. So I'm going to ult here really quick, just to, again, get the level 15. Sadly, we're not going to actually get it, which is very unfortunate. But it's not a huge deal. As you can see, we're level 14, so we sadly did not get a 15. But yeah, as you can see, though, we got a pretty dominant win with Zeraora right there. And I'm wondering if we got MVP off of that. I would assume we did, because we scored a lot. But very well, the Slowbro might have as well. And yeah, we got 226 points, 9-3. So hopefully you guys learned something about Zera. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more Pokemon Unite content. With that said, I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video. And if you did enjoy what you saw here today, make sure you leave a like on the video as well as subscribe to 509 Gaming with post notifications on so you never miss a Unite guide in the future. Also, let me know if you've been using Zeraora down below and how it's been working for you. And also, if you have been using Zeraora, let me know what build you're using because I would love to compare your builds to what I've been running. With that said, I will see you guys in the next Unite guide. Until then, peace out, guys.